Hello, world, and welcome to the Quick Kick Picks presented by Burrows Talking Soccer. My name is Dave Kniddle, and I am flying, that's the word, solo on today's show. Christian is, I think, at the dentist. Matthew is still working, and so it's just going to be me on today's Quick Kick Picks. We are talking about MLS match week 16.5. We're in between match week 16 and 17. We have 6 midweek matches we're going to be talking about on today's show. And MLS is slowly easing back from their Gold Cup break before we have a full slate of matches this weekend. So we're only going to be talking about the 6 games happening on Wednesday, June 26th. So these videos are, when I talk about the games, going to be about 2 minutes long. They'll likely be less because it's just going to be me talking. The 2 minutes is because we put them up on Twitter, and Twitter restricts us from a 2 minutes perspective. Also, we are having a Quick Kick Picks game for you to play along with us. If you give your predictions, if you're watching on YouTube, leave your predictions below. If you are watching videos on Twitter, preferably, leave your predictions over there underneath each of the videos. We will keep track of them. I will keep track of them. You get a point if you get the home team score correct. You get a point if you get the away team score correct. You get another point if you get the result correct. So home team win, away team win, or a draw. If you get that correct, that's another point. And so if you get all 3 of those correct, you get a bonus 2 points. So there are 5 points up for grabs in every match we're playing. The winner or the highest score at the end of the month of June will have a 15-minute guest appearance on our podcast. It's not too late to join and enter. If you get a couple scores correct, you can jump up that leaderboard very, very quickly. That is all I have to say for my intro here, and let's talk about the matches. Kicking things off on Wednesday, June 26th, we have the New England Revolution hosting the Philadelphia Union at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I have Philly getting a 2-1 road victory here. And that is a little bit bold coming from myself because it's really tough to get road wins in MLS, So New England, since they've hired Bruce Arena on May 14th, the club has 1 win, 2 draws, and no losses in MLS play. He's brought some defensive stability to the club. They are, however, still tied for the worst defensive record in the league. They're conceding 2.1 goals per game. They are conceding less goals per game in their last 4, which again coincides with Bruce Arena being appointed, and that is 2 home and 2 away. They're actually conceding less than a goal per game in those 4 matches. Philly, however, meanwhile, won 6-1 at home against New England earlier this year. So I expect New England to come out and be motivated. Having said all of that, I still think Philly gets a win. They're top of the table in the Eastern Conference. They have 3 wins, 2 draws, and 2 losses on the road. So that's a pretty good road record by MLS standards. They're not going to have Andre Blake here, but they will have Coronel or Freeze, their backup goalkeepers, who have already played MLS minutes this year and are not a huge drop-off from Blake. I would expect them to be relatively healthy with the exception of Marco Fabian. He is still working back. He trained in full this week, but the turf in New England, the fact that Philly has multiple games this week, I would expect him to either come off the bench or possibly be rested in total, but everyone else should be good. And I'm really excited to see Santos be more integrated into the team. I expect big things from him from the striker position. They also had 1 less game played over the Gold Cup break relative to New England. So I expect Philly to steal a 2-1 road victory here. Next match we are talking about is the Montreal Impact hosting the Portland Timbers at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here. Now, Montreal is second in the East, but they have a -7 goal difference. Not great. Shocking that they are second in the East with a -7 goal difference. Hopefully, break has allowed that field to heal in Montreal because it looked ugly at Stade Saputo. I don't know what was going on at the early part of the year, but hopefully this Gold Cup break has allowed the field to take a little bit more, and it is better because it was not great earlier this year. Montreal is scoring less than a goal per game at home, but they're earning almost 2 points per game at home. So even though they're not scoring, they're still able to get results there. They didn't have any matches over the weekend, so they have slightly more rest than Portland, who did have a match over the weekend, but they haven't played since June 5th. That's more than 20 days. It's going to be interesting to see the rest versus rust benefits happen. I think it might be a little bit more rust versus rest in this one, and I have Portland prevailing here. Now, Portland won both their Open Cup matches during the break, and they had a huge victory over Houston over the weekend at home. Brian Fernandez scored yet again. I think that's 6 goals in 6 games for him. Valeri had a goal and 2 assists, and Portland is really starting to round into form. I expect them to rocket up the Western Conference table. And as crazy as this is, 2 games I've already predicted, 2 road victories. Portland gets a convincing 3-1 win on the road in Montreal in this one. Next match, we have Toronto. We have, oh man, I hate it when this happens. We have Toronto. There it is. Next match, we have Toronto FC hosting Atlanta United at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shockingly, another road victory I'm predicting here. 3 matches, 3 road victories. I have Atlanta getting a 3-1 win. 2-0 win here. Now, Toronto has been winless in MLS play since May 4th. That's 8 matches. They're not going to have Bradley. They're not going to have Altidore, and they're not going to have Osorio here. We saw how that impacted them against FC Dallas over the weekend, and it was not pretty. I expect that to continue here. They have one of the worst defenses in the league, and they're conceding 1.8 goals per game. That's 18th in MLS. Atlanta, meanwhile, they're going to be without Josef Martinez, who's with Venezuela in the Copa America, but they have enough talent to compensate from my perspective. If they win both of their matches in hand over the Union, they can become first in the East. After their relatively terrible start to the year, it's amazing that they can be first in the East if they win those matches in hand. They have the best defense in the league. They're only conceding 0.7 goals per game. They're conceding 1 goal per game on the road. So again, still very, very good. Their offense is starting to click. They've scored multiple goals in each of their last 4 matches, including the Open Cup. And that's why I think Atlanta gets a 2-0 road victory here. Next match we're talking about, and this is the one I tried to talk about before, we have DC United hosting Orlando City at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is where it gets back to home teams winning from my predictions. I have DC prevailing in a tight 2-1 game here. DC has 3 consecutive draws in MLS leading into the Gold Cup break, and they're not going to have Paul Arriola here, and he's been their 3rd scoring option. He's been a decent 3rd scoring option for DC behind Wayne Rooney and Luciano Acosta. DC is 17th in the league in shots on target at only 3.8, and that's equating to them being middle of the pack in goals scored per game as well, but they have one of the best defenses in the league. I think Orlando, through Nani or some sort of special magic, gets a goal here, but DC has enough on the attacking side of things, even without Paul Arriola, and is more stout defensively to get a 2-1 win here. Orlando has been spotty in their form all season. They haven't won back-to-back matches in MLS the entire season, but they have won 3 straight if you factor in Open Cup play. So they're on a slight uptick in form, but I think they come kind of crashing back down in this one. They don't have quite as good of an attack as DC, and they certainly don't have as good of a defense, and that's why I have DC prevailing in a 2-1 win here. Next match we're talking about, FC Dallas. Give me those papers. FC Dallas is hosting Vancouver Whitecaps at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me not put my fingers over the words there. Letters. Dallas, Paxton Pomykal came back for them, and he was superb this weekend. He played lights out against Toronto. He looks motivated. He looks in form, and he is someone I'm excited to watch play in MLS if he's still in MLS and isn't transferred this summer. Also, Brandon Servania and Edwin Cerrillo. I could have those first names wrong, but Servania and Cerrillo both started. All 3 were with the US U20s at the World Cup, and it's really exciting that you have 3 19 or 20-year-olds. I think Cerrillo might be 18 years old, all playing in the center of the park for Dallas. And I would expect that to happen again here. Dallas, they lost 2-1 to Vancouver in late May, but they've played tight in that match, and none of those 3, Servania, Cerrillo, and Pomykal, were involved in that match. And that's why I think that's going to be the difference for Dallas in this one. I expect Dallas to prevail 2-0. Vancouver, meanwhile, they haven't lost in 5 matches, but they only have 1 win and 4 draws in that time span. They're also not a great road side in MLS. They only have 1 win in 7 matches. Offensively, they're one of the worst teams in the league. Defensively, they're okay, but Dallas's defense and midfield, I think, have the advantage, and I don't think Vancouver is going to get a goal here. I expect Dallas to prevail 2-0 at home. Final match we're talking about midweek. We have the San Jose Earthquakes hosting the Houston Dynamo at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, Houston got spanked over the weekend 4-0 by Portland. I think a lot of that had to do with them missing Romel Kyoto and Albert Elise. They are still going to be without them in all likelihood here, and that really cripples their attack, even with Mauro Manotas, who didn't appear against Portland. I think they might have been saving him up for this match. I still think it's going to be tough to see them get very many goals here. Houston, they started the year very well, but I think they had a very favorable schedule, and they're starting to have some tougher matches, and that's starting to show. I think they'll slide down the table a bit. I think they're still a playoff team, but they're not going to be competing at the top of the Western Conference. They only have 1 win and 4 losses in their 5 road games this year, so they're not a great road side either. Meanwhile, San Jose has 9 goals in their last 4 matches. Chris Wondolowski has 8 of them. That's pretty impressive for someone who hadn't scored up until that point, in Wondolowski, the all-time record goal scorer in MLS history. It is huge to have that other goal scoring option to take some of the burden off of the San Jose attackers. It was, I think, starting to mount earlier in the year that they weren't having other goal scoring options, and Wondolowski stepping up and taking some of that burden off has really benefited San Jose. San Jose is also undefeated over their last 4 matches, which again coincides with Wondolowski starting to score again. That's 2 wins and 2 draws. Nick Lima is a big miss for San Jose. Nick Lima is a big miss for San Jose, but I don't think they have quite as many key players missing as Houston does, and that's why I think they get a 3-1 home win here, San Jose prevailing. That is it. That has been your solo quick kick picks from Bros Talking Soccer. I am Dave Knittel. Thank you so much for being here. Go enjoy MLS this midweek, and we will be back. Hopefully, Christian will be with me on Thursday for another video previewing the 12 matches we have in MLS play. Don't forget to leave your predictions below. Hopefully, you like the video. Click that thumbs up. We would appreciate that. I don't know why I did this. Click that thumbs up, and have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon. Say, everybody, let's go get some matches played. I almost forgot Christian's catchphrase, so let's go get some matches played. See ya.